Do you find the time it takes Earth to spin around each day a little slow? Well, then, how about we speed things up? A lot. What would happen to the length of a day? What geographical and climate related changes would occur? And the most important thing, would life on Earth be able to exist? We are going to discuss in this video that what would happen if Earth was spinning at the speed of light. The Earth makes one full rotation on its axis every 23 hours, 56 minutes and 4.1 seconds. And it's not moving at the same speed everywhere. The rotational speed varies depending on your distance to the poles. If you are at the equator, it moves the fastest at a rate of 460 meters per second. At the north or south pole, it's moving the slowest. Technically, it's not moving at all. This rotation makes Earth suitable for life. The diurnal cycle, or the shifting between day and night, helps keep the planet at a habitable temperature. Earth's rotation is the driving force of weather patterns. Even tides are affected by the Earth's spin. So, if we were to accelerate this rotation, would we completely destabilize the climate? If you increased the rotational speed by 0.45 meter per second, our days would be shorter, but only by a minute and a half. You might not even notice the change. But even with the slight increase, sea levels would rise by several centimeters or a few inches. Yes, it's true. The water around the poles would migrate towards the equator. And now, if you increased this acceleration to 45 meters per second, then a single day would be about 22 hours. You would start to feel confused, almost just like a jet lag. We would also need to add a few more days to the year. But for the sea levels, it would be a dramatic change. The world's ocean at the equator would rise as much as 9 to 20 meters, that is 30 to 65 feet. Places like New York, Venice and Mumbai would be submerged. Millions of people would be displaced. Now, if we double the current rotation speed to 920 meters per second, disaster would strike. Water would cover everything except for the highest mountains like Kilimanjaro or the highest summits of the Andes. Satellites orbiting the planet would be out of sync, as the need to orbit at a speed that matches our rotation, and this would disrupt the communication, the television broadcasting, and military operations. You would notice some significant weather changes. The air would be heavy with moisture. Dense fog, clouds, and constant rain would be the norm in the regions near the equator. Now, if you keep speeding things up, at some point you would fly off the planet, and that's because the centrifugal force of the rotation would be enough to overcome the gravity, keeping you on the surface. This would happen at a speed of 7,886 meters per second. You would experience reverse rain, and droplets of water would move upward in the atmosphere instead of falling. And now, if you pushed the speed to 11,000 meters per second, the Earth's crust would begin to flatten at the poles and bulge around the equator. Enormous earthquake would rattle the planet. There would be a little chance that anything on Earth could survive. But if you were to crank the velocity up some more, like to the speed of light, things would become wild. If the Earth rotated at a speed of 299,792 km per second, that would be 652,000 times faster than today. The dimensions of Earth would change. Once a sphere, the Earth would contract into a thin disc-like shape, and so would you along with every other object. Now you could finally say that Earth is flat. Rotating at this extreme speed would distort the time on Earth. It would slow down so much that it would eventually stop and you would freeze in the time. So hopefully you would be caught in a good moment. Earth could become a tiny black hole. And that's because an object moving at the speed of light has an infinite mass. And yes, nothing would be making it out of the situation alive. So with this, I hope you get an idea that what would happen if we increase the speed of rotation of Earth up to speed of light. Thank you.